you. Go ahead, Doug.
Yep. In light of recent events, I'd like to move a motion that Deputy Reed Wise assume the chair for this meeting.
I'll give a seconder, Debbie. All in favor? Gary, thank you. So hi everyone, and welcome to the meeting of the Stone Mills Township Council of November 1st, 2021. Hoping my mic's on, I can't tell. Yeah, there it is now. We have no 3-minute delegations. Can I get approval of the agenda, please? Sherry and Wenda, second. All in favor? It's carried, thank you. Any declarations of pecuniary interest or any other conflict and the general nature thereof? None showing. Can I get approval of the minutes of the October 18th, 2021 meeting? Debbie and Sherry, any business arising from that, from those minutes? None, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. We have no delegations. Bylaws and resolutions. 6A, road closing bylaw, McLeod. Mr. Sands.
Thank you. Deputy Wise, Development Service Clerk Cindy Hike is actually here tonight to join us, and she's going to provide us the overview on the bylaw closure, and both her and I both are here and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, so tonight before you is a bylaw for the property known municipally as 661 Wheeler Street. There is a road allowance there that has already been transferred to the owner in the 1800s. And it just, no bylaw was brought forward at that time to finalize the bylaw to put it into his name. We did pass in April the property right next to it for 6663 Wheeler Street, and the road was already closed and passed and deeded on that property. Questions? I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to pass that bylaw for second and third reading. Wenda, second by Sherry. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Staff reports. Reopening of Township Community Halls. The motion reads that Council received the staff report entitled Reopening of Township Community Halls, and that Council accept staff's recommendation that all renters sign and abide by Schedule A, COVID-19 additional requirements for hall rentals in advance of each facility rental, and that Council direct management in establishing the rate to be charged for Township Community Hall rentals under $75 rental fee per bylaw 2020-1051. Jason, do you want to speak to this?
Certainly. Thank you, Deputy Wise. The report's fairly comprehensive. However, just to provide a very quick overview, we have 5 halls typically rented, and with the reopening of what we have here in the KFLNA region, staff are of the opinion that 3 of the 5 halls that historically rent out to our ratepayers are eligible should proper protocol with respect to COVID screening, etc., be undertaken. And those 3 halls are Newburgh, Enterprise, and the Tamworth multi-purpose room in the arena in the recreation center. We see the Centerville Hall as being used daily by staff as well as council, etc., and the Tamworth Hall or library being utilized by county staff and proposing challenges with respect to rental. That said, one of the most key considerations to consider in the reopening is the sanitizing and cleaning of each of the facilities post-occupant and pre-subsequent rental. As many of you are aware, the Enterprise Hall is administered by Mr. Fenwick. The Newburgh Hall is Mr. Silver, who is the township's hired cleaner, and the multi-purpose room at the Tamworth Recreation Center is actually cleaned and sanitized historically by township staff, and that's the way in which we propose to continue moving forward. So that leads to the point of Exhibit B in your schedule, in your package tonight, which speaks to the fee bylaw and the way in which we've established the fees historically in the municipality pre-COVID were based on turnover and cleaning to ensure that the capital costs largely were taken care of with respect to the rentals, the operating costs. My apologies. The one group. And the group in the bylaws is called not-for-profit groups, church groups, community groups, and seniors groups all rent our facilities for a fee of $20. As included within this report, the $75 fee that would be charged for the Enterprise Hall and the Newburgh Hall would be above and beyond that, and which is covered from that rental. So staff are here seeking the input of council as to the best way in proceeding should we wish to reopen those 3 facilities to general ratepayers, looking at what best mechanism is from a fee perspective. That said, I do want to confirm, as mentioned, staff would continue to clean and sanitize the Tamworth Stone Mills Recreation Center multi-purpose room. So there would be the ability for that user group to use the multi-purpose room and the township not to be expensed the cost of $75 by our cleaner. And just again into the package, Exhibit A is the additional requirements for hall rentals. It functions similarly to an affidavit in which the renter would be obligated to sign to ensure that they will comply with COVID screening criteria, confirmation of vaccination status, etc. And all of that has been vetted with KFMLA Public Health Unit, who have no objections with fundamentally the municipality downloading those responsibilities to the renter. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? So go ahead, Doug.
I understand what the recommendation is and the comment for the $75 for cleaning, but I am concerned with any discussion of being different prices for different halls. I'm having difficulty with that one. I think that would set up a scenario where people would say, why us? Why are we being asked to pay more? So I'm a little bit concerned about that part, but I'm willing to listen to others.
Anyone else? So just to clarify then, $75 is being tacked on to each hall rental fee to cover sanitation and cleaning. Is that the gist of it?
Through you, the gist of it, if I may, $55 would be tacked on to the seniors rate, which is currently $20, to bring that to the minimum of $75, so that that fee would be covered. Whereas, for example, a Jack and Jill, that fee has already factored in to a cleaning cost, so there's no additional that would be required. So there's just consideration for that specific user group as it relates to being under the threshold of $75 in which we're required to pay for a cleaning and sanitizing fee.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. So how many different groups are we talking about, Jason? Do you know that have in pre-COVID been just paying the $20 fee?
It's a great question. Off the top of my head, I don't have that stat. It would apply for all not-for-profit group, all church group, community group, or seniors group. So your Lions, etc., would all fall under that category of the lesser fee, $20. Okay,
I'm not really comfortable charging not-for-profit groups an extra $55 myself. I'd like to hear what other people think. I mean, the the other side of the coin is cost recovery and all that. Thoughts? Yes, Sherry?
I was thinking about this and was looking forward to the explanation, and I wondered, because I also felt bad, think the Lions, I mean, that's one group that's been here for the community throughout this whole thing, and then to charge them more just felt weird. I wondered, is there any chance this could come out of the COVID budget that we have? Is there still money there that we could maybe set a 6-month or 1-year thing that it will be paid from that?
So our COVID funding ends at the end of this year. We have to utilize all of that. You're only looking at, I believe there's 20,000 left, but I believe it's earmarked for the rest of the sanitation supplies that are needed, as well as the additional masks. You could apply some of it, but the regular operational cost is of cleaning. It's just additional cleaning. So I'm not so sure how it qualifies underneath the grant requirements, as this is a user group, not a general municipal operation.
I would suspect you couldn't justify it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Doug?
Yeah, I'm wondering, and maybe we could hold this over and come back with a number of groups that, an average, an estimate of what the numbers would be. And am I correct in saying that in the past, these users, if they cleaned it up themselves, there was no cleaning done? No, there was still cleaning done in the past, so
Yes.
we were absorbing that cost before. So I'm kind of wondering why we would change that policy now, but, yeah. But I'd like to see an estimate of what numbers we're talking about, the number of users. And then we do that.
Okay, we have to move over to hold this over until we've got a better idea of how many are affected, second by Linda. All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Okay.
Can't be really wide, or
Yeah, go ahead.
like a deadline on this, so we're not putting it off and putting it off.
Next meeting.
By
Yeah.
the next meeting?
Yeah, I'm assuming that was your intent, Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't be hard to come up with. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. You know, you know this job. Yeah.
If I may, just to summarize what I captured, and feel free to put input into this, that this motion be deferred to allow staff opportunity to summarize historic rental groups and return to council at the November 15th council meeting for greater insight into that group distribution.
Yes, the numbers.
Okay, thank you. So, our next item is about the upcoming municipal election. Motion reads that the Township of Stone Mills Council approves the quotation from IntelliVote Systems Incorporated for the 2022 municipal election electronic voting option, and that the Township of Stone Mills Council recognizes this quotation is given utilizing Section 10 of the procurement bylaw for cooperative purchasing, and approves the use of this section for procurement services for the 2022 municipal election electronic voting. Jason.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Weiss. Treasurer Beauchaw's here and actually going to give an overview of this report, and both her and I are here to answer any questions in which you may have. Thanks.
Okay, so the report in front of you is for just the electronic option that we issued and used in 2018 municipal election. This is to do the exact same thing at a 27% savings to the municipality by doing a cooperative purchase with other lower tier municipalities and still utilizing the county of Lennox and Addington's IT services for the joint compliance audit side of things. Now this quote is only good if all the other townships sign on, otherwise we're paying the same full cost we did in 2018. So what we're looking for is council's approval to utilize section 10 of our procurement bylaws so that we can go for cooperative purchasing with the rest of the other lower tiers should they choose to.
Good. Any questions, comments? Joe?
Yeah, Christina, I read in here and I'm a little bit concerned because you sound like you're separating. This option would still include would be exactly the same as we did last time with 4
Yes.
other voting sites, okay?
Yes.
And on top of that, the cost factor is based strictly on the bulk purchasing. But if my memory serves me right, the Intel vote and the 4 voting locations last time were actually cheaper, were they not, than the old-fashioned system that we use?
No, it cost us more to run both. So because we ran both paper and the electronic voting option, it cost us more to run the election. It costs less to just do paper, or it costs less just to do electronic, but when you combine the two, it costs more.
Do you know approximately how much?
I want to say it was around 30, but I'm without the number right in front of me, I'm not 100% sure. We put 12,000 aside every year, so 12 times 4, that's 48,000, right? So.
I mean, I think with the COVID still probably going to be around, I don't think we have any other option than to maybe do the exact same thing as we did last time. And I would support that. I do.
Any more comment? No? Okay. Did you second that, Debbie? Yeah. All in favor? Carried. If I could ask, Christina, have all the different municipalities been in touch with one another? What's your sense of whether this will go through or not?
So all of the CAOs of the 4 townships and the 2, I believe the 2 upper tier CAOs as well, CAO clerks, have had a meeting and Brian has distributed the quote to them, our CAO, and I'm not sure what the receiving on that was, but a lot of them were, almost all of them, is my understanding, used Intellivote last time, and that's why they were looking at doing a bulk purchase of it this time.
Sure. Thank you. Makes sense. Okay, Christina, you're up again. Stone Mills Township year-to-date revenue and expenditures, September 2021.
Okay, so the statements in front of you are for September 30th, all the way to the end of September 30th, and then it's cut off if you want to receive all the information before this meeting for October. So, if you have any questions.
Any questions for Christina on this? I assume that you've already asked her questions before the meeting, if you did have any. Your general sense, are we kind of on track? Is anything severely out of whack?
I don't see anything severely out of whack at this point in time. It looks like we're relatively on par with what we normally are at this point in time. We've got some bills that are still outstanding. We've got some regular stuff that's coming through, and it looks like it should be right on budget.
Okay, that's great. Can I get a motion to receive this report? Linda, second by Sherry, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Items for information. Okay, didn't skip anything. County Conservation Budget 2022 Stone Mills Levy. The motion is that the 2022 County Conservation Budget information be received as presented, and further that this information be referred to the Finance Department for inclusion in the Stone Mills municipal budget process. Any questions in regard to this? Can I get a mover to receive it? Wenda, second by Sherry, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Brings us to new business and statements by members. Any new business, Wenda?
Yes, last week I was privileged to virtually attend a 3-day conference on sustainable communities. Unfortunately, one of the days the internet was down for the whole duration of the conference that day, but it's all online, so I plan to review it all online. It was really, really well done, well put together, and I will be reviewing it all and bringing things back to staff once I've had a better chance to get my ducks in a row and figure out what is shareable, but it was very, very interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Who was running that?
FCM?
Right, Federation of Canadian Municipalities.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah. Anyone else? Doug?
Yeah, the Counteroffer Trail Survey Report, I'd just like to give a summary on it. With Cindy's help, it's very small print, but the paper that was in front of us tonight is a report of the comments that were made on this survey for our portion of the trail only. Class is Lennox and Addington, but that's it. So first of all, starting off, a survey was done this summer, and I think as we all know that not everybody answers a survey, but it was done on the Cat Trail, and the questions were, what improvements do you need, do you see, things like this, asking for people's thoughts on the trail. The Counteroffer Trail starts in Strathcona and runs all the way to Smith Falls. It's
Excuse me, Doug, is your mic on?
Sorry. It's 104 kilometers long, the Counteroffer Trail, of which 18 kilometers approximately are in Stone Mills. The CAT survey was done and there was 301 responses, 51 of them from Stone Mills, which pertain to Stone Mills. And the bulk of the 51, there was 10 of the 51 that were non-residents. The rest were residents of Stone Mills. And the non-residents, in most cases, were like Napanee or Odessa, somebody close by. The overall responses to the survey were very positive for Stone Mills. If you skim through, and I know you're not going to, the 301, there's comments in the other sections about we have the best end of the trail and things like that. The Stone Mills ratepayers using the trail come from all over Stone Mills, and the farthest one that put an address in was from Aaronsville. So I mean, that's good use to have people come from Aaronsville. I myself use the trail, and I know there's people from Enterprise in Tamworth. I've talked to them on the trail, but when I spotted the address of Aaronsville, I thought there's a really energetic person that wants to get exercise to drive that far to use the trail. The main improvement suggestions that were brought forward in the survey for our section of the trail was number one, dead trees and wild parsnips and ticks. Well, I'm going to let you kind of make your own improved ideas on what we can do with each one of these. But in the case of dead trees, I can tell you right now that Jeff has been organizing and looking for an opportunity to go in and clean a day with a crew to clean up dead trees. There's a lot of dead poplars right around the Newburgh area, and it needs to hide home with the thumb and that to do it. Okay. The township, to help with the wild parsnip and ticks, mows the trail our 18 kilometers twice a year, and there are positive comments that how well that's been received from a few years ago, and I know Wenda can attest that you can almost get touched by the stuff from both sides if you're in the middle. There was a number of comments. Number two actually was a request for benches, trail markers, and an outhouse. Well, the benches are something that we could do ourselves, because basically all you need is a capstone located. We just have to find a spot and locate them. So there would be no cost. And actually, we have had discussion about that too. But the third comment was Strathcona signage. People can't find the entrance to the trail at Strathcona. The Cataraqui Trail is actually in the process right now of installing that signing. They dug the holes and they're in the process of getting that done out at the county road to point the way into where it is, because it's in behind the mill where the trail starts, and the parking is thankfully on the mill property. Okay, they're also working on the kilometer markers, which was mentioned as a request. Okay, and the fourth issue was the Yerka Railroad Bridge, the decking. It's a major cost. It require new decking. It would need to be funded by cash with a grant situation. And there is discussion ongoing with a local organization to see if they could possibly help us out with the funding on that. There was a few other comments that I'm not going to prepare, like one person wanted ATV on the trail, one person didn't want them on the trail, okay, and somebody wanted a garbage can, which would, I think, be an issue. I bring this to you just to let you know, first of all, that we are in the best shape of the whole trail, and that we are working on already on some of the issues that are here. And to let you know where we stand in this situation, I mentioned it a couple times in the past that there's conversations going on, John, you'll understand this, around the funding of Conservation Authority properties and funding. And the CAO of the Conservation Authority of the Cataraqui has already had conversations with Rideau Lakes. Is scheduled this month to have conversations with South Frontenac. I haven't heard of a timing for us yet, but it's coming, for us. The number they're talking about is $2,000 a kilometer. Although we do a very excellent job in doing our own work. So I just want to mention that when that time comes that we're having that conversation, we need to be very aware of the in-kind work that we do and see if we can possibly negotiate a different situation for it. But other than that, we need at least to think of a line item on our budget of something for it. Okay? And pretty hard for your question what I said, but anyway, go ahead.
Yes, Linda.
Just an update that the Rogues Hollow Renewal Committee is working on a project that would address a piece of land where the trail crosses through, and I think they're looking at a bench and possibly an outhouse and a few other things that would take place in that section. So it's right sort of the corner of County Road 27 or Main Street where it crosses the trail on the east side. I think there's an area in there where they've got a project underway.
Mr. Abrams has been working on that for some time. We put, or Jeff installed almost 2 years ago now, 2 capstones in there for benches, and they work quite well. That's, which are really no cost for us, but you just gotta get them back away from the trail so the snowmobiles don't run into them. That's all.
Yeah, thanks for that, Doug. It's very interesting. I coincidentally was emailing back and forth with Brad McNevin, and of course that's Quinte Conservation, and this is a Cataraqui Conservation jurisdiction. But as you may recall, the core funding for conservation authorities has been restricted by the current provincial government to flood control, erosion control, flood forecasting, and so on. But in negotiations with Conservation Ontario and the relevant ministries, we've managed to get them to include passive recreation as part of the core mandate. So that means that the conservation authorities can levy the municipalities for maintenance and operation of passive recreational areas. So we're not talking about Depot Lakes Campground or anything, which is self-funding anyway, but things like little conservation areas, some of the ones, very popular ones in Prince Edward County, will now be part of our core mandate and we can levy for them. The cat trail is a little bit unusual because while it's the responsibility of Cataraqui Conservation, Doug knows all this, part of it runs through our township, which is 100% within Quinte Conservation. So I asked Brad McNevin, the executive director of Quinte Conservation, how are we going to handle this? Quinte isn't going to levy stone mills for funds to maintain the cat trail. And he said he's been talking to, I forget the name of the CAO, is it Katrina, about this, and she'll have to come up with something creative, I guess, when she does bring her request to council. So we're going to have to think about that. It's a tremendous benefit to our township to have that available just for our own residents, let alone people who might come in. I mean, I don't have to preach to the choir here. So I'm hoping we can come up with a combination of in-kind, as you suggest, and maybe some cash. It's probably time we did have a budget in there. Anyone else? Yes, Doug?
Yeah, well, just follow up on that, Bart. We have been one of the few that has been given any cash at all. Okay, and that's been the problem in the past, is that they've been cash strapped. Okay, so we have, for the last number of years, yourself, Linda, that supported us doing this 8, 10, 12 years ago now, where we do in-kind work, and we do every year a minimum of $5,000 in-kind work, and probably more if we knew the true value. Okay, and that's very well received. Plus, we give them $1,000 on top of that of cash. Now, for years, Rio Lakes, who has 45 kilometers of the trail, gave absolutely nothing. South Frontenac gave no money but did $5,000 worth of donated labor. They were very good with that, and their 5,000, to be quite honest with you, was a low number. They would do more than that, but they had no cash. So we were the only ones that's been doing it, you know, we would sort of thing, and, you know, we could maintain it with no effort whatsoever ourselves, with one exception, and that's the breaching effort and the liability of that. So I wouldn't want to make that big jump, because that bridge will always be a liability and a headache. Okay, so I prefer that to remain in the cat authority.
Yeah.
But other than that, we could do it. I mean, it's just mowing the grass, cutting some dead trees in the odd culvert.
Yeah.
And that, and the trails in such good shape, you know, it's very good. I mean, there's a spot where they can go in and put a bucket of gravel here or there, but it's actually the jewel of the 104 kilometers. The other end where they're now, like I say, they spent $100,000 in grant, and then we haven't got grants with that $100,000. So they spent more than that this year. I'm putting down coarse gravel, and it's not going to work. And I don't know why they're not listening, but South Frontenac did that in an emergency. They run out of money. They were doing from our boundary, Portland, Camden boundary road to Harrismith, and they run out of money, and so they just put down 5/8. People won't even ride it, because you can't ride a bicycle.
No.
You just gravel.
No.
It's a foot deep.
Yeah.
And where ours is stone dust, it's very, very good shape.
Yeah.
And you can tell that when Newburgh, and especially Newburgh, Camden, St. Arthur, there's always cars parked in front of them.
Yeah.
Always. And I mean, if they're not locals, if they're outsiders, they're spending money because they stop at the store to get gas or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a benefit.
Yep.
Debbie, did you have something?
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention to council, actually 2 weeks ago, there was a small group of us casually chatting, and of course we got brainstorming, and we've come up with a Stone Mills Santa Claus Parade to be held in Newburgh. We've talked to Manager Thompson and Chris Wager from the county, and they have secured the route for the parade itself. It will be December 5th at 1:30 in the afternoon. And it's hosted by the Newburgh community and the Newburgh Centerville Pastoral Charge. We've already got a number of floats in. We have music, we have flags, we have fire trucks, we have police officers. We have big green tractors, like one little guy said we needed a big green tractor. So we've got that as well. And we're just hoping that maybe we could put it on the council website, and that I would ask all of council to come and participate as well. We expect it to be a large crowd, not only because it's the first one in Newburgh, but because of the turnover of floats and people that have showed a huge interest in it. So again, it's December 5th at 1:30, and we meet at the school.
Oh, thanks, Debbie. I think if it's gonna be Christmas and you have a green tractor, you better have a red one too. Anything else on any business? Statements from members? Nothing? Then I believe we have, are we gonna end this meeting and go into closed session? Or are we gonna go into closed session and return?
Yeah, we'll go to closed session, return out.
Okay.
Motion back out, which is the shut.
Yeah, so. This is a personnel matter of a readily identifiable individual, which requires closed session for discussion. So, can I get a motion to go into closed? Doug, second by Debbie, all in favor? That's carried. We'll just wait until the video is